What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It's once again hashtag homeless. Someday I hope it's hashtag something else. But for now, it's hashtag homeless, and it's day 86. Day 86 of this nonsense. And as soon as I got the lighting just right and, I found a place to sit and chill and do this video for you all, I'm telling you, as soon as I put the phone in the cradle and hit the button, the sun popped out and changed everything about the lighting. So there's no professionalism here. It's a podcast with a face. That's all it is. Seems to me Saturday and Sundays are really the only quiet days here in the park. And I still had to walk around for a bit to find a bench that wasn't claimed by the homeless. And these benches make good camps, I suppose, especially the ones that are next to the little grills on a stand, because that's where people have their campfires at night. And I don't know, man. I'm a little burned out, but feeling better. The weather's better than yesterday. The feet, my pinky toes are still in pain, but they get a little better each day. What I really need is a week, 1 or 2 weeks off my feet. Not wearing shoes, maybe putting on a pair of Crocs here and there, and just letting my feet heal. It's starting to feel like soccer season. As you get older, for you young ones, when I was in my mid-30s, the soccer started to wear me down. I'd get an injury, a small injury, like a busted up ankle or a busted heel or something like that, taking a bad step on an indoor soccer field, something like that, and the injury would just stay for the entire rest of the season. It would persist. It wouldn't heal. It wouldn't stop. The only way I could play for the rest of the season would be, creative use of athletic tape and padding and stuff like that. And I would find that the injury would just stay and stay and stay until whatever sports season, whether it was soccer or ultimate frisbee, whenever the season ended, then the injuries would heal. The only sport my main sport was cycling. And if I ever get back into having a regular life again, cycling will be my main sport once again. And I find that cycling is really one of the only sports. Cycling and swimming are the only sports where you can have an injury and continue to play that sport, and the injury will actually have a chance to heal because they're very low impact sports and they don't abuse the body as much as far as soccer is concerned. I had to retire. I had to quit playing at some point because I was just getting beat. Injuries were just hitting me left and right, and nothing crazy serious, but enough to make life more difficult throughout the week. And these injuries just won't heal until you stop playing. So, there's that. Let's see here. But that's what the foot feels like this week. That this injury, these toes, the soreness is not going to go away until I can finally get up off my feet and just not use them for a few days to a week, maybe 2 weeks. I've just put them through too much in the last couple of months. And so, the homeless situation, you always want the update on that. And let's see here. It really sucks. I can say that. There's somebody walking around with a dog right next to me that was hanging out for a bit, and so that's why I'm always looking around, because there's always people showing up no matter where I sit. I haven't had a moment alone since the day I became homeless. There's nowhere you can go sit without someone else showing up. It doesn't matter where you are. But with the homeless situation in the shelter, I know I talk about this a lot, but once again, I found another example of the reasons why homeless people would rather camp outside and risk freezing to death in the winter, and especially during the summer, than staying at a free shelter. You know, there's this guy I keep talking about more than once on these videos. And he's just really grumpy all the time, and he's always yelling at people, and he just seems to be taking out some external frustration on the people in the shelter. And, you know, even though I can't remember him ever being rude to me, I see him doing this all the time. I've mentioned this on several videos. And it drives me nuts when I see this happening, especially when the recipient of this guy's attitude isn't a bad person and didn't do anything to deserve it. That gets on my nerves, something fierce. So anyway, this guy, he's done it more than once. If you're not right on time for breakfast, he'll scream and yell at you, and sometimes he'll lock you out of the building while everybody else is down eating breakfast. The dining area and the kitchen are in the basement of the building. And so everything has to be done as a group. You're shepherded around like a bunch of sheep in a pen, and you're herded from one pen to the other, and you're not really allowed to walk around the place. They usually have two people there as workers, as people, you know, the workers of the place. And everybody has to be within their field of vision at all times, supervised, like children. So anyway, last week, someone was throwing up or sick or something like that. And when he showed up for breakfast a couple minutes late, he got screamed at. And I mean, he was probably less than a minute late. And I talked about that in a different video last week. And this is part of the reason why a lot of days I just pack my stuff and get out of there as quick as I can, because I don't want to be around all that drama. And so yesterday, I didn't even know that this had happened, but there's a guy, and he's not a bad person at all. In fact, he's a really nice guy. And he was taking a dump. I don't know why the topic of taking a dump keeps coming up over the last couple of days, but this guy was taking a dump, and it took longer than he expected, and he ended up being a couple minutes late for breakfast. And the grumpy guy got all worked up and started yelling and screaming at him, and he treats people just like you're a prisoner in a jail. I mean, this is exactly the same way that the guards at jail yell and scream at you over nothing, treating you like you're a worthless sack of trash, and that you deserve to be talked down to, you deserve to be condescended to, and you deserve to be treated less than a human being. And so he decided to write the guy up for taking a dump, to get him in trouble for being late for breakfast, because he was taking a dump. I mean, this is how petty and how ridiculous these places are. I mean, this is what you're signing up for. If you become homeless and you go to live in a homeless shelter, this is how you're going to get treated. And probably, in most cases, you're going to be treated 100 times worse than anything I'm sharing with you. Because the place that I'm at is not really, it's considered to be one of the better places you could end up. So keep that in mind. This is why homeless people refuse to go live in the shelters. And then the news media and the general public shame them and try to make them feel, well, we did our part to help these people and they refused our help, so fuck them. They deserve to be whatever. They deserve to freeze to death. They deserve to starve. We tried to help. Yeah, well, how many of you people watching this video would voluntarily go down to the jail in your county and check yourself into jail? How many of you would sign up for that? Or would you rather just, you know what, I'll go get a tent at Walmart and spend my last $20 on some basic food and a crappy tent, and I'll go take my chances out in the woods? I think most of you would take your chances instead of going to prison, going to jail. But anyway, I found out about this on the evening. I think it was last night. I think it was, or I don't even know anymore. Time doesn't really, I have no perception of it anymore. As I found out in the evening, I think it was yesterday, the other people who work at the shelter, other people who work there, who were on duty last night, no pun intended, they thought it was ridiculous that this guy got written up for taking a long dump. I mean, I would say most of the people that work there are pretty relaxed and chill. Now, even though most of the people there are relaxed and chilled out, they won't tolerate anybody's crap either. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the way it should be. Treat people with respect, but if they get out of line and they disrespect you, then okay, all bets are off. But as long as people are treating you with respect, you don't got to be condescending towards people who are down. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it should be. But there are a few people who are just overbearing and mean sometimes at this place. And as far the agreement is unanimous as to who those people are, and it's not just my observations and my experience. There are like 20 people staying at this place right now, and I guarantee you could ask all 20 of them the same about the same things I'm talking about, and the agreement would be unanimous. So the guy here who is yelling at the guy who took a dump, treating him like a prisoner in jail, I found out a number of days ago that this guy used to be a corrections officer working in an actual jail. So, I mean, everything makes sense now. As soon as I found that out, everything makes perfect sense. So when I tell you that being in a homeless shelter is essentially like being in a low security prison, I'm really not far from the truth. The only difference is that you voluntarily book yourself, and then unless you get kicked out, you voluntarily process yourself out of prison when you leave. And but it's a form of prison. And like I said, would any of you voluntarily check yourself into jail? Or if your choice was to sleep outside and risk what goes along with that, would you just take your chances there? I'm an avid camper, and I can camp in the middle of winter, and I wouldn't be afraid to take my chances outside. The money on my cash assistance card outside of the food stamps that I have on my card right now is enough to get the things that I would need to survive the winter here. But that would not be fun. I'm telling you, the winters in Jamestown are brutal. That would not be fun trying to survive here outside in the winter. But it can be done. And I know how to do it. And I know where I could do it. But that's a daunting thing to think about. And I'm not even saying that the people that make the shelter a rough stay, I'm not even saying that they're bad people. I don't really believe they are. I think they just take things too far sometimes. I think overall people have good intentions, but for whatever reason, everybody's different. And once again, it's just like being in prison, where every guard has their own set of rules and their own way of acting and their own way of treating people. It's every single guard in a prison or a jail is completely different from each other, and some are completely abusive and nasty and horrible people, and there's some nice people and good people who actually care about you. And so, but on the flip side, to the negative, so I guess some state inspectors came into the place, and they told everybody that it was the cleanest homeless shelter that they have ever seen. I could see why. It's definitely clean. They keep it clean. The inmates at the shelter, we all help to keep the place clean. We all pitch in and do chores throughout the week. And, it doesn't take much. When you've got a bunch of people staying there, if everybody takes 10 or 15 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week, that place stays pretty damn clean. And so, I've heard from stories from other people, other homeless channels, here in the comments and in the articles that I've read online, that a lot of these homeless shelters can be extremely filthy and really nasty. And so, anyway, when I'm talking about this stuff, I'm just speaking from a place of complete honesty. And so I want you all to know the good and the bad of the situation, because I freely talk about them both. I don't hate anybody at the place. I really don't. I offered to do graphic design work and help them out in various ways that I can use my talents to help them out. And I hope they take me up on that, because that's something that I can actually do for them, where they might have a need. give back for some of the things that they have done for me. And right now, because I'm starting a fresh design business, it would give me a little bit of work to put in my book and to just show people what my capabilities are. And so it could be a win-win situation there, but even if they want me to help out with some small things that really don't make sense for me to show off in my book, if you will, it would still be a good way to give back to them in a way that, I can offer them something that's not easy for them to find. Put it that way. And I could shift gears here. Let's see here. What do I want to talk about? There's like I was saying, yesterday morning was a bit rough. It was raining. I didn't have everything. Fridays are rough in the morning right now because of all the stupid things I have to do for a lot of useless stuff. In fact, a lot of this social services stuff, the things they do, they're getting in my way of finding a job more than they're helping me find a job. There's a lot of extra time spent doing stuff that really doesn't help me, but it helps me cover my ass with them. And so I have to spend obscene amounts of time doing these things that I could be spending moving my life forward. So this is another reason why I'm just burned out and I want to get out of Jamestown. But overall, I'm not miserable. I'm burned out. That's really what it boils down to. I've been busting my tail since April 2nd, and I'm so burned out today I can't do the math. I can't tell you how many weeks that's been. It's been since April 2nd. Here it's August, I don't even know, August 10th. And but anyway, to be happy, to be truly happy in life. A long time ago I heard somebody say, it's one of these quotes that stick with me for the rest of my life, kind of like the quote that I shared with you more than once of how people overestimate what they can accomplish in the span of a year, and they underestimate what they can accomplish in the span of a decade. And I'm certainly there. April, May, June, July. I'm a third of the way through my first year out of jail, and I haven't accomplished a thing. I haven't found a job. I don't have a place to live. I mean, everything right now is worse than the day I came out of jail, to be honest. I got some irons in the fire. I've planted some seeds, but things are not good right now. And but maybe over the course of the next decade, I'll look back on today and say, wow, how did I come back from that? So you got to give it time. You got to give yourself more time than you think. Anytime you do a project for somebody, especially in creative businesses like mine, where you can put your heart and soul into a project, show it to a client, and they say, well, can you change this? I don't really like that logo, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. So like sometimes the projects just never end. And but when you finally do get to what you could call the end or good enough, hopefully the thing turned out better than that first draft that you showed the client. And so hopefully life does the same thing here. But someone a long time ago described being happy as when your health, your wealth, and your relationships are all in check, and all three of those things are in place in your life. I call it the 3 pillars of happiness, the 3 sides of the pyramid of happiness, not to be confused with the Illuminati pyramid of happiness, but the pyramid without the capstone floating above it, where the pyramid is just connected. And I can honestly say I don't think in my entire life I've ever had all 3 of them in check. And whenever 1 or 2 of them are going great, the third one seems to be out of whack. And then when you fix the one that's lacking, one of the other 2 start falling apart. And that's always been my experience. It feels like I'm a clown in a circus spinning plates on those poles, and you constantly have to be running around because you get a new plate spinning, But then the first plate that you started to spin is starting to slow down and it's going to fall off the pole, and now you got to go back and spin that plate. And then now the plate that you just got started is starting to slow down. Now you got to run back and fix that plate. And now you got to run back and fix the first plate. And you got all 6 or 12 or however many plates that you're spinning on these poles. You got to keep running around and spinning them and spinning them and spinning them and spinning them, because if you let them go, they're just going to start falling off the poles, right? So that's what I'm talking about here. It's the same thing, but it's just 3 plates spinning on 3 poles. And you got to keep spinning them and spinning them and spinning them. And as soon as you look away for too long, boom, one of them falls off and smashes on the floor. So on the flip side, maybe you have, I don't know, like being in one of those, like I said, one of those plates when it falls. Being out of sync in just one area will drag the other 2 down with them. For example, if you have a really great relationship with somebody and your health is in really good shape, but let's say you start struggling financially, well, you can definitely expect your relationship to fall apart right then and there, especially if you're a guy with a woman. That's pretty much a guarantee in this day and age, that if your wealth starts to fall, well, your relationship is not too far behind, because they're linked together and they depend on each other. And so, but on the flip side, maybe you have a great job and your health is great, but maybe you're in a toxic relationship at home, and maybe you're 1 or 2 straws away from that last straw where you file for divorce. And let's say that toxic situation is causing you so much stress that you start floundering at your job. And then you get demoted, or you get passed up for a promotion, or even worse, you get fired from your job because of that downward spiral in your performance that was ultimately caused by your relationships being out of whack, and now your wealth is out of whack to go with it. So, and I mean, it's a no-brainer that if your health goes down the toilet, everything else is going to follow. No company is going to keep you around much longer than they are either legally obligated to, or whatever length of time will not tarnish their reputation or whatever. When you're sick, and you're sick to the point where you can't work anymore, a lot of companies will just send you packing right away. Some more reputable companies, they might pay you for a while. You might have some disability, you might have Aflac or whatever, and but you got a limited amount of time before that change in your health impacts your change in wealth. And then as far as relationships go, a lot of you are going to, I know every time I talk about this topic, I get blasted in the comments. So put them right there. They're right below the video. Show up, say your piece, because it's coming. But I read this book about the first plastic surgeon, and it's called The Facemaker. I can't remember the author's name, but this was back in World War I, when people were suffering, soldiers were suffering extreme facial injuries due to the modern weapons that were introduced in that war, but also because of modern medicine, they were surviving their injuries and coming home with these horribly mangled faces. Some people had the whole bottom of their jaw just gone. So they had like the upper half of their face, their teeth hanging out, and nothing. No jaw left, because the jaw was blown off by a grenade or something. And this book talks about one of the things that stood out to me the most in this book are how most of the women that these men were married to when they went off to fight this war left the men when they came home because of their injuries and their facial deformities. Pretty much if you got injured in World War I, and I would say pretty much any war, if you get injured when you go to serve your country, you come back missing a leg, you come back missing half of your face, and you're all deformed or whatever, your woman's gonna walk right out the fucking door. That's what they do. And here it comes. Here come the comments. I can see them already bloop, 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 popping up in the feed below. I'm not like that. I would never do that. I would never do such a thing. Well, it's a thing. Women do all the time. Going back to the First World War, this whole book was just nothing but story after story after story about how a guy got injured, his face got messed up, his wife thought he was ugly, and she left him. I mean, And that's what they do. And it's not just the women. It's not just the women. The men really aren't any better. I mean, remember that vice presidential candidate? I think his name was John Edwards. Can't remember. It was bad. Who? John Edwards. Was he vice president, or was he Al Gore's running mate? I can't remember. Nobody ever remembers who the vice president candidate was on the losing team. But anyway, I think his name was John Edwards. What I do remember is his wife was battling cancer, and she was on her deathbed. So this guy was out fucking around with some side piece while his wife was laying in her deathbed. I mean, this is just how people are nowadays. You find yourself having 6 months left to live, you're going to be probably living those 6 months alone. That's pretty much how this shit works now. Your significant other is already out playing the field. You're significant. As soon as you say I've got 6 months left to live, boop, I'm on Tinder now. She's on Tinder, swiping right. Oh, he looks cute. Swiping right. Probably already got a paid account. So keep that in mind, kids. That's how it works these days. And I don't know, something else came into my mind when I was talking about this, and then left, and I can't remember. I gotta see if I can pull this one back into my memory banks here. But yeah, I mean, the book was, it was just nothing but women leaving these men coming back from fighting this war. And the funny part about it was the women, if you did not volunteer to go fight the war, the women called you a pussy, and no woman would want to be with a coward who was afraid to go fight in this war. But then if you go fight in this war and you get injured and you come back, then the women don't want to have anything to do with you because you're crippled and your face is all mangled, or you lost your leg or whatever, and you're no good anymore. So you were basically fucked no matter what you did back then. And in my opinion, if you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, just stay home. Stay home. Don't go fight one of these bullshit wars. If you're going to be screwed no matter what you do, keep your legs. Keep your face. I really cannot remember the thing I was going to talk about, so maybe it'll come back. I don't know. I'm trying to force it, and it never works that way. It was just another example of what I'm talking about that popped into my head and then just left. And as soon as I hit the stop button on the record, it's going to pop right back into my head. And I'll have to save it for tomorrow. So anyway, I think the only other thing I got right now is I was on Karen Book for a minute. Facebook, some of you might call it. So it's time for Karen's Corner. And I only saw a few posts today because I really can't stand being on that site anymore. But there was this oh man, what do we got going on? Morning. Oh my God, man. It's ironic. I start talking about Karen on Facebook and she shows right up in front of me. So, oh man. So there's this big controversy about this female porn star turned pole vaulter, because she used her pole working skills to get herself a bronze medal, and then she celebrated her bronze medal by twerking in front of everybody. And so I guess that's the big thing now at these douchebag Olympics that are going on. And so here's what Karen had to say. Why should it matter? She is good at her sport. Get over it, people. Any given individual is not here to live up to your expectations, but to live the fullest life they can. The last time I checked, we support freedom, except when you're exercising your freedom of speech and Karen disagrees with you. I just want to interject there. But Karen says, twerk when you want to twerk. Congratulations on the medal. Well deserved and earned. So yeah. Somebody else chimes in. She's got looks and pole vaulting skills. That's a winning combination. A twerking Olympic bronze medalist. Yay! And I'm like, okay. I think the Olympics were the origination of this whole concept of a participation trophy, because we all know that if you ain't first, you're last. But here we're celebrating people coming in third place. In fact, I saw a post about this guy who's the only guy who got a medal over 5 straight Olympics, and I don't even know if they were all gold, 5 gold medals over 5 Olympics, but he got 5 medals over 5 different Olympics. But nobody cares about this guy. Nobody cares about him because everybody's obsessed right now with a guy who got a silver medal for shooting a gun. And now everybody's obsessed with a porn slut twerking because she got 3rd place working the pole. Honestly, the only loser at the Olympics right now who has any bragging rights is that male pole vaulter whose junk knocked the bar off of the hurdle that he otherwise would have cleared. That guy is the only one who can brag about not getting a gold medal. Other than that, you got no bragging rights. You came in 3rd place. What are you bragging about? You're the second loser. And then let's see, what is another post? Oh, China built a maglev train that can go 650 miles an hour. And so Karen had to say, "Bravo, China. That's why India is 200 years behind compared to them. What about the USA? We have no reliable passenger rail system connecting the country. Here in Massachusetts, we can't even get the MBTA to stay open and reliable, and the suburbs are waiting years to be connected to the commuter rail systems. Our highways are overcrowded and dangerous." Yeah, Karen from the suburbs is mad that she can't take a 650 mile per hour train from the suburbs of Boston to New York City to go shopping for the afternoon. That's what this is. And our highways are overcrowded and dangerous. I'll take my chances in a car that I drive myself over a train whose software was developed by the same people who built TikTok. Have you ever been on TikTok? And you're going to trust getting in a 650 mile an hour train that's running software from the same programmers who built that pile of trash? No, thank you. No, thank you. How long before America can just buy a maglev train right off of Temu and have it shipped over here and set up? And there's another post, one more. There was a tree trimmer, and he was on a high tree, and he was cutting down a tree, and the comments underneath this were full of 2 things. The first thing was a bunch of people who've never cut down a tree in their life commenting about how bad of a job the guy did, and how he cut his notches wrong, and how he put the straps on the tree wrong, and 150 other criticisms. And then a bunch of other people who showed up to see what all the so-called tree cutting experts had to say, and also saying that they were not disappointed by what they found. So even the men show up to take a dump all over every Facebook post now. Facebook is just sad and boring now. It's unbelievable how much that thing has gone downhill. I'm in shock about it, about how bad it is over there now. It's really unbelievable how much that platform has died since the last time I was on it. I'm in shock at how bad it is. But they did it to themselves. Number one, the software is terrible. It's terrible. The user interface, everything is broken. It's clunky. It doesn't work. Everything used to be smooth, and Facebook used to be the best user experience on social media, and they've destroyed it. They completely destroyed it. And then the censorship drove everybody else away who made the place fun. And now there's nothing but AI and Big Brother and tracking. And it's just like 1984. It's almost like there's a guy on a screen who shows up in front of you to tell you everything that you said wrong and thought wrong. I mean, when I first signed up for Facebook after getting out of jail, my account got locked and banned before I was ever able to log in for the first time. And the reason why is because during the sign-up process on a new Facebook account, they ask you your name, your phone number, your email address, and then they tell you that you have to upload a picture of yourself. And so I'm like, okay, fine. I was going to put a profile picture up of myself anyway. And so I attached a photo to it and I hit the next step button and boom, it said, Facebook comes right back at me and says, "You are not Joe King." And I'm thinking, well, actually I am joking, but because that's the name that I used when I signed up. I didn't use my real name. I said I was Joe King. And Facebook comes back and says, "You're not Joe King." Yeah, I am joking, but whatever. They locked my account out like that. And they said I violated their terms and all this other stuff. And they said that I could file an appeal, just like going to Twitter jail, I could file an appeal. And a week later, the Facebook judge, ruled on my appeal and denied my appeal, saying that I violated their terms of service. And so I did it again. I used a different email account, same phone number somehow. And this time when I used my real name and I uploaded my photo, and this time they let me write in and let me have an account. So Facebook is using their facial recognition software to instantly identify who you are. And if you use a fake name, if you try to create a fake account, like, "Hey, would you blow me?" or "Sugging these nuts," or whatever the case may be, they're going to ban you. They're not going to let you have an account on that platform instantaneously using their facial recognition and all their AI bullshit. And so, I don't know. I have a Facebook account, but I do not care about it at all. I've been neglecting the photo posts for the last week because I've focused on other things. I have a checklist for these daily videos. Once I clear everything off on the daily checklist, I have a checklist for the photography posts, and I've been skipping over that and jumping into other things that needed to be done for the last couple of weeks. So hopefully I can get back into the daily photo posting. But Facebook and Instagram, honestly, their platforms are so broken that just to post a photograph becomes a nightmare. Instagram, 3/4 of the time I post a photograph, it'll say something went wrong, something went wrong, something went wrong, and I've got to do it like 6 or 7 times before it'll actually take the photograph and let me post it. Facebook has all kinds of problems posting photos now and doing all these goofy things when you try to post, and I may just have to come up with a certain crop ratio and only post photos that fit nicely within that crop ratio. It's a complete shit show right now as far as that goes. So I kind of have to look at each platform and see like what the capabilities are and what types of posts to put on them. And so I have different kinds of photography. I have a lot of really wide panoramas, and they're really hard to share on social media because you're holding your phone vertically, which has a really narrow screen. And when you're trying to show a panorama that's really wide on a narrow screen, it gets really small vertically. So the best way to do that are apps that let you do like a carousel thing where you can kind of sideways scroll the photograph. And there's ways to do that on Instagram, and there's ways to do that on Pinterest. There's really no ways that I'm aware of to do it on Facebook. But I just kind of got to play around with these platforms a little more and just see what I'm going to do with them. But Facebook and Instagram, they're at the bottom of my list right now. I'm going to start getting into Pinterest more because at least you can, it's better. It'll do me better to have stuff up there. And I think that's pretty much it for the stuff I'm going to talk about today. Once again, I'm grateful for you guys coming to watch these videos on a daily basis. And I'm thankful for my good health, like I said earlier. I'm thankful to now be in the running for different jobs. Still in the running for some of these, but I don't know. I have a meeting tomorrow with a guy. He's probably watching the video right now. And I think that's going to be a cool thing tomorrow to talk about doing some marketing and website work for a small business that's been in business for 45 years. They have some really good reviews online. I've done my homework. I've done my research about them and their competitors, and I've got a lot of questions to ask. And even if this doesn't turn into a job for one reason or another, I didn't waste any time with what I've done over the last couple of days with doing this homework, because I just came up with the name for my company a few days ago, bought the domain name, haven't even drawn a logo or put anything on a website yet. And this has got my mind turning on how can I make this business both profitable for me, something that I could actually live off of and not get paid McDonald's wages for, but also make it viable for small businesses with lower budgets, and small businesses that a giant ad agency would just look at and say go away. And how can I help those people make their brands better and stronger and make their businesses grow and bring more leads to those kind of businesses, but at the same time make it worthwhile for my time, because sometimes it is a significant amount of time that you put into stuff like this. And so I have some really good ideas that are kind of out of the box and different than what I used to do in the past. And so I'm going to have a good talk tomorrow with a potential client, and I think, I think the light bulbs are going to go off in both of our heads, because I've got a lot of stuff to share with this person. It's not going to be a waste of time for this person to come up and meet with me here in Jamestown, that's for sure. Even if we never talked again and we went our separate ways for whatever reason, which, hopefully it doesn't happen. But even if that's the case, we'll both walk away smarter and better off than we were the day before. So that's always a good thing. How's it going? So yeah, that's where I'm at. And so I'm going to give you the plugs. Sign up for the email list. If you do sign up for the email list and you don't get an email back right away, you should get an email back right away that tells you where to go to download some free wallpaper for your phone, your desktop computers. And the address for that is free.litgood.com. And let's see. So if you do that and you don't get the email back, check your spam folder. A couple of people reached out to me yesterday about saying that they never got the email back. Turns out the email had been sitting in their spam folder since like the beginning of June. So always check your spam folder. I don't know why things don't really drop into my spam folder too much, but everybody's email client and every email service is different. Some have stricter rules than others, and that's one thing about email that kind of sucks, is I have no control over that at all. So if if that email doesn't show up in your box, check your spam folder. I do have the 20 photos listed on the store that is linked to this YouTube channel, and I have 20 photos listed on Etsy. And so I have 20 photos on both stores, so I'm going to be putting that deal out for you guys. I'm probably going to work on that a little bit today, try to figure out how I'm going to do this. And so yeah, there's a deal coming. Sign up for the mailing list. There's 20 photos for sale on the stores. Oh my God, man, this is crazy. Some dude's just riding his bike around and just riding his bike in circles right in front of me. I'm like, okay, you got a whole park to ride your bike around. You don't got to go in circles right in front of me. So anyway, yeah. There's a deal. free.litgood.com. You can check out the photos that are available for sale at shop.litgood.com. I'm only having one small issue, in that 3 of the photographs will not port over to the YouTube channel shop tab. for whatever reason, it's more garbage software. The process of connecting the YouTube channel to this store and then pulling the products from the store to the YouTube channel to show up in the shopping tab or underneath the video here if you're on the mobile app, it's one of the most ridiculous, stupid, broken things I've seen so far this year. It sucks. It's broken. It's complete trash. And so there's 3 photographs that refuse. When I bring them into YouTube, the pricing is wrong. It's not bringing the price. I have a photograph that is a wide panorama. It's for $65. It's only available in one size. When I try to bring it over to YouTube, the price shows up as $30. I don't know where it's getting $30 from because it's 65. But the stuff is so broken that it barely works. And then there's 2 other photos. One says YouTube doesn't approve of it. It's a photo of a bridge at night. So for whatever reason, YouTube has censored you from being able to see a photo of a bridge in Pittsburgh at night because I guess bridges are offensive now. I don't some Karen probably got mad. You know, maybe her son jumped off a bridge and committed suicide because Karen was his mom, and now bridges are offensive. I don't know. But a photo of a bridge got banned from being shown on YouTube, and I got to try and figure that out now. And then there was another photograph where it's available in a ton of sizes. I'm talking like 50 different sizes that I offer this photograph at. 50 different sizes and material combinations. So you can get it on photo paper or you can get a sheet metal print. And so there's probably 25 of each. 25 sizes of each material, and they're all different prices, but when I try to bring it over to the YouTube shop, it shows up as every one of them being $30. So I don't know where these $30 is coming from, but there's 3 photographs I can't get put on my store on the YouTube shop tab right now. But the store that it links to, when you click on one of those photos, you get taken to a store and all 20 photographs are there and everything's set up right. So one way or another, you can go to shop.litgood.com or you can just go to the shopping tab or click on a photo under the video here, and they're all available for sale. And if I can't get those 3 photographs to come over to the YouTube channel, I mean, it is what it is at this point, because I've talked to tech support at the shop website where those are taking you to from YouTube. But if it ends up being a problem that YouTube has to fix, I can just say, forget it. They're never going to, they don't care. they don't care. So that's on my plate for today. And I think I got, you know, man, I can either sit here for another hour and go to the library when the library opens, or I can go to crazy ass Tim Hortons, get covered in flies, and listen to a Las Vegas casino going off in the background and people yelling and screaming. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet. Probably Tim Hortons, because it's right down the street and I've got too much time between now and when the library opens. So we're looking at, okay, we're still under an hour. That's good. Oh, the lighting is, I just looked back into the camera. The lighting is horrible today, but there's nothing I can do about it. Every time I turn around and go somewhere else, there's a big wide open park and there's nowhere to go. So here I am, sitting up against this tree. I'm getting bugs crawling on me. I'm going to be pulling them off me for the next 2 hours. And I don't know. We'll see what happens today. But I'm going to say see y'all later. Tomorrow's church day and there's some other things going on. Tomorrow's video is probably going to come out late. I can see tomorrow's video possibly in the evening tomorrow based on everything that I've got lined up to do tomorrow. So, you know, I'd already know that I'll get comments. Where's your video? What happened? Well, don't worry about it. I'm still going to post tomorrow. I just don't know when it's going to go up. So anyway, I hope y'all have a good day. I hope y'all get accomplished whatever it is that you set out to do. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace out.